Hello students, welcome to Legacy AI Academy. In today's video, we are going to discuss about the concept of integral humanism, the concept that is generally associated with the Pandit Deendayal Upadhyaya, and also the concept at which the Bharatiya Janata Party, the ruling party, the current ruling party of India, currently believes in. So let us try to understand the concept of the integral humanism. Now, first of all, why we are discussing this concept now? So very recently, few days back, there was a celebration of 108th birth anniversary of the Pandit Deendayal Upadhyaya, whose philosophies are what we can say part of the guiding principle of the BJP. Now, Upadhyaya was a lifelong RSS pracharak and among the founding members of its political arm that later on became as Bharatiya Janata Party and then later on it became the Bharatiya Janata Party. Now, among the tallest thinker of India's right wing, if we talk about, Upadhyaya propounded the idea of integral humanism, which according to the BJP's constitution is its basic philosophy and its decisions are based on it. Now, if we try to understand that what is this doctrine all about? So, the doctrine of integral humanism, first of all, was born from the desire to have uniquely Indian ideas. This desire was basically to guide the journey of newly independent nation after the British left India in 1947, as opposed to the many Western isms that were that time prevalent across the world. And at its core, if you look at the speeches and the what we can say interviews of the Pandit Upadhyaya, his integral humanism talks about things such as unity and harmony. Now, unity and harmony among what? Unity and harmony among the various components that makes up the human individual. And these components largely he later classified as body, mind, intellect and soul. So, among individuals, and also this is something that can be seen or understood at the societal level as well. Now, if we try to do the in-depth analysis of this philosophy, according to this philosophy, the individual, as we have discussed, is made up of four components, that is body, mind, intelligence and the soul, and the development and fulfillment of each is important to have a fulfilling life. So, another cornerstone of the doctrine is the concept of four purusharthas. Now, we have to understand this doctrine is not, the concept of purusharth is not given in the integral humanism. This concept of purusharth was already existing in the ancient Indian philosophy, which Pandit Upadhyaya has borrowed from. So, the concept of four purusharth, or what we can call as the areas of human effort. These are dharma, arth, kam and moksha. Now, he drew upon the wisdom of the ancient Indian philosophy to formulate his doctrine. Now, since purusharth is the basis of the integral humanism, let us try to understand this in more detail. Now, in simple way, purusharth can be defined or classified as a means it effort which befit a man. And in this context, the longings for the four concepts of purusharth, that is dharma, arth, kam and moksha, are inborn in man, and the satisfaction of these gives finally the joy or anand. Now, let us try to understand each of these concepts one by one. So, first of all, here we have the earth. Now, earth is something that is generally associated with the economic affairs of life, and what we can call also is something that transcends into the political domain. Not only that, in the ancient India, the concept of earth is something that also was used to apply in justice and law. And this is something that has also been written by the Kottapalya, and that you might have heard about the book Arthashastra. Apart from that, the second is kama, that relate to the general satisfaction of various natural desires, and kama means mostly it is not very restrictive in nature. It basically refers to all kind of desires, not only to the sensual desire. That means if you want to have good food, that also comes under kama. You want to have good rest, good sleep, that also comes under this. You want to have good music, good we can say literature, reading of literature and the reading of good books. So all this come under the kama. And the third, which is the most important, is the dharma. Now, dharma basically is not religion, as we say in general term. Dharma here comes from the word dri, and dri means righteousness. That means, in simple word, dharma can be classified as rules, the fundamental principles, or the ethical codes in accordance with which all the above activities, that is the earth and kam, has to be carried out, and all the goals thereof has to be achieved. That means, once you are taking or participating in your life and involving yourself in the earth or kam, you have to make sure that your acts are according to the principles of dharma. And once you are able to do so, This alone will ensure progress in an integrated manner and harmonious manner, and ultimately will lead to the moksha. That means salvation, which is freedom from the cyclical or the cycle of life and rebirth. So that is overall what we can, or how we can explain the concept of purushartha. Now, if we try to understand about the context in which philosophy was given, so as India became independent, the need was felt in the certain circles of the we can say intellectual world, that it should be guided by the indigenous system of thought instead of the popular Western political philosophies. In this context, especially Pandit Upadhyaya has mentioned that the principal isms, the Western isms that were in very much, we can say, found across the world at that time, was three: that was nationalism, that was democracy, and that was socialism. But by itself, each stands opposite to the rest in practice, and that is the dilemma which Deendayal Upadhyaya was trying to elucidate. For example, he said that nationalism is good in itself but poses a threat to the world peace, as we have seen in the case of Second World War, when the extreme nationalism, hyper nationalism, as shown in Germany or basically been propounded by Hitler, led to a disastrous result. Second, the concept of democracy and capitalism. He said when they join hand together, as we see in the America, led to a free reign of exploitation. And finally, when the socialism replaced capitalism and brought it with it, but it brought with it an end to the democracy and the individual freedom, as you saw in the case of Soviet Union and China. And that is why Deendayal Upadhyaya was trying to say that all these major isms of the Western philosophy is not or should not be the guiding principle of the newly independent nation. And thus he said that our guide should be the ancient Indian philosophy, and he illustrated here that the first characteristic of Bharatiya culture is that it looks upon the life as an integrated whole. And that is where he said that it differs from the Western culture, because the confusion that largely people have in the West is because of the tendency to think of life in sections and then to attempt to put them together by the patchwork, while the Bharatiya culture is just opposed to it. He also said that the Bharatiya way of thought gives equal importance to the body, mind, intellect and soul, because as we discussed before, he said that the overall individual is composed of these four components. And at the level of individual, all four must be nourished for a truly meaningful life. That means that is why we are talking about the integration of all these four components, all these four elements, to have a true essential or essential or meaningful life. And that is what humanism is all about. And that is why the philosophy is called as integral humanism. Now, if you want to conclude, the remark we can take from a BJP leader, which was given, that for India to truly become a Vishwaguru, that BJP largely desires or always talks about, it had to take the lead in the sphere of thoughts and ideas, which is where Upadhyaya's contribution are especially important. Also, if we try to understand, he gave a very important statement that we know that today India is being divided basically to take advantage of the vote bank politics. So he said that the Bharat may survive on vote bank politics, but to thrive, it can only through the thought bank politics. Largely refers to again genesis or thinking about the thoughts and ideas which are prevailing or which can be derived from the old ancient philosophy. Hence, we need to make sure that our institutions are guided by the basis of the wisdom contained in our ancient text. So, this is all what we can say is about the integral humanism and the contribution that Pandit Deendayal Upadhyaya had made during his lifetime to nourish and basically propagate these ideas. Thank you very much.